Welcome back to another installment of Iron Therapy. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I want to ask you this simple question. Have you ever gotten hurt bodybuilding? Have you ever gotten hurt out of the gym and weren't able to bodybuild, and you were depressed and you thought you'd never get back to the level you were at? Well, too many people, unfortunately, have been feeling that way. So today, Lesley, Timbol, and I have a very special show in store for you. We have a very special guest, Branch Warren, with us. Welcome, Lesley. First of all, welcome, Branch.
Thanks. Welcome, Branch.
Hey, Lesley. Thanks for having me on.
Branch, you know, I was trying to think, and I didn't really have to rack my brain too much for this because I kind of knew the answer to it. But I was thinking, aside from myself, who tore my quad and still doesn't have it properly attached, but I wasn't competing. Who do I know that competed, had a major injury, came back from it successfully, and did it, with a poise and a victory at one of the biggest bodybuilding shows on the planet, the Arnold Classic. And I said, well, Branch Warren is the guy to talk about this. First of all, Branch, you're known for having a very strong mental state, but was that injury in your point in your career, was that something that, was really traumatic to you when it happened?
So I tore my quad completely off the bone. I was 30 days out from the 2011 Mr. Olympia competition. And, I just placed second at the Mr. Olympia. I just won the 2011 Arnold Classic. So I was favored to be one of the favorites for the title.
Sure.
And at the top of at the peak of my career, literally. And I was preparing for that show, and I was 30 days out. I had never been that lean, and looked like that. Even the year I got second at the Olympia, or when I won the Arnold that year, I was feeling very good about everything. And so the whole backstory was when I was about 10 weeks out, I stopped traveling. So I agreed to go to Atlanta though for a rope man. He had a show there. He'd asked me many times. And I said, I'll go, but I'm gonna fly. I'll fly in Saturday morning and fly out Sunday morning. And so I packed all my food, took it with me, and I landed, and my friend picked me up and went to a restaurant. And because he was hungry, I had my food with me, of course, my Tupperware full of food and all that good stuff. And we're getting ready to leave, and it's pouring down rain. It's a thunderstorm. So he says, hey, I'll get the truck and pull up front. So he pulls up front, and as I'm walking out of the restaurant, I step off the curb, and there's like the handicap spot right there with all the paint. Of course, it's hard. My foot slips, and I basically do the splits, but you're trying to stop yourself from falling. So you get that concentric force as your foot's sliding out in front of you. Your back foot, I caught my other foot, my right leg caught the lip of the curb, and I was trying to keep myself from going, so that concentric force just popped it right off the bone. And I fell down, obviously, and my leg was like underneath me in this weird position. And, you feel it, and it hurts, but it doesn't hurt that bad. Then after it goes away, and it doesn't really hurt a lot. And I remember I grabbed my pants leg and straightened my leg out, and I grabbed my knee, and my quad wasn't there anymore. And that's a bad feeling. And I couldn't move my lower leg at all. And so I knew what I did, and I just didn't know. And so my friend's like, he rolls window, he's like, dude, get up, because it's pouring down rain. It's a thunderstorm. And I'm like, dude, I can't. I need some help, bro. And he's like, you serious? I'm like, yeah. And he helps me get up and get in the vehicle. And he goes, can you get an emergency? I go, dude, my quad's torn. He goes, I go completely detached. He's like, no, wait, man, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. And I said, he said, man, well, let's go to the ER. I go, man, they can't do nothing. So anyway, went to CVS. First thing I did, I called my wife, called Trish, and said, hey, give me a flight home tonight. I don't care what it costs, just get the flight home. I hung up. I called my doctor who I was friends with, and he answered the phone and said, what'd you do? I said, man, not something bad. And I told him what I think I did, and he said, well, he goes, when you get home? I said, tonight. He goes, I'll open up the office on Sunday. Just call me when you get up. Meet you. So we stopped at CVS. I got an ace bandage, wrapped my leg up so it wouldn't bend, and got some crutches, and I went to the airport, and I flew home, went in, and he said, yeah, you completely detached it. So I did it Saturday, so Monday morning at 6 a.m. I was under with the OR being operated on, got it reattached. And at the time, I thought, man, this is the worst possible thing that could happen, And, of course, news breaks because I didn't guest host at the show. So, I remember everybody's calling me, from Steve Blakeman to Muscle Tech to every brand and you can imagine. And, they had the forums and stuff back then. And everybody's writing my obituary, could have, should have, would have, but it's over for him. No one ever comes back from that. It's career ending, blah, blah, blah. So this is like Tuesday, one day post-surgery. And I read this crap I stop reading it. The next day I get up and I think about it all night. I don't really sleep. Wednesday morning, and I just got mad. And I told myself, like, ain't nobody or nothing going to tell me when I'm done. Like, I'm going to be the one who decides when I'm done. And I'm like, this is not going to define me. And I sat there and got madder and madder about it. And that's funny. I told Trish, I said, hey, I'm going to do the Arnold. She goes, in 6 months? I said, yeah, 6 months. And I had surgery on Monday. This is Wednesday.
And you've never gone through it, so you don't even know what it entails, like the recovery and all that stuff. You have no idea.
Basically, I was like, you know what? Fuck all y'all. I'm going to do this. And so Trish looked at me and she goes, we better start eating. And mind you, I'm 30 days from the Olympia, so I'm in good shape,
Right.
The quad's not attached. Yeah. And so she goes and cooks this big plate of chicken and rice and puts it in my lap, and she goes, better start eating. And I started eating. And so that was on Wednesday. So Monday morning, 1 week post-surgery, I went to Metro. And I get out on my crutches. I hobble in the gym. And John, yo, bro, what are you doing? I go, I'm training for the Arnold.
That's awesome.
So he goes, fuck it, let's go. And we trained chest that day. And I remember I had a really good workout, man. I think I flat pressed 180-pound dumbbells for.
Wow. Holy shit. You know what the funny thing is? Before you get the surgery, you actually feel kind of good with the quad. I mean, you can't use your leg, but you're not really that bad. After the surgery, you feel way worse, right?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Afterwards, it sucks. I mean, I hate taking any kind of pain medicine. I don't like it. And when I had my tricep reattached, I never took a pain pill after I left the hospital. But I went through a whole bottle of pain pills that week because it sucked. I mean,
the first day is the worst, right?
You ain't gonna sleep if you don't take pain. I mean, it sucked. You just get this deep throbbing pain. You're just like stop, and it just is like, God dang it. And so I went to the gym. I trained chest hard as hell, and I just propped my leg up, did whatever adjustments I needed to handle. Johnny would hand me the weights, and I trained, and I trained everything, legs. I did went to leg day. I had to do everything single leg. Brian actually bought another machine for me, so I could do leg press and stuff with single leg. Right. And I squat, and I trained everything. I didn't stop training, and the 6 month prep for the Arnold basically. So as you know, it takes about 6 weeks for a tendon to reattach itself to the bone.
Right.
So the first 6 weeks, you're just in a cast. You're just waiting for it to reattach itself.
Were you in a cast, or were you just in an immobilizer?
Immobilizer. Yeah, it wasn't really a cast. Immobilizer. Okay. But what I learned from previous injuries, when you train the other side of your body, it keeps the injured side from atrophy.
100%. Yep.
I learned that when I hurt my tricep. And so I trained my left arm. So my right arm didn't atrophy near as much as it probably would have. So the same concept applied. And 6 weeks goes by, able to start getting range of motion back. Well, getting range of motion back sucks because now you got to learn how to walk.
That's the worst branch, right?
And you got to learn that basically at this point, now I'm 4.5 months from the show. Bro, I can't walk, really. I'm having to learn how to walk again. I can't bend my leg, and I got 4.5 So, and I went to Brian, and Brian Dobson, owner of Metroplex, that's who, discovered Ronnie. I trained myself and all of us, and I asked him. I said, "Bro, I need help on this one." And he said, "All right." And he explained to me how he wanted to do it, and that's the first time in my life I ever disagreed with him when it came to bodybuilding. And
really?
Said,
what do you say?
So we came in the next day, and we had the whole debate all over again, and I'd never done that. And he said, "No, this is how we need to do it." And I had a different idea about it, but I said,
"What was his plan?"
Well, he wanted to train. I wanted to do a lot of isolation stuff, and really focus on that leg and do something different. He said, "No, we're going to train it normal." He goes, "We're going to squat, we're going to leg press, we're going to hack squat, we're going to do all these things, walking lunges, and we're going to do it just like normal. It's going to be good." And I had a different take on it, with more emphasis on my right leg to rehabilitate it and all that.
Right.
And no, I finally said, "All right, it's in your hands, dude. So much do, I'm going to do it." And
when did you actually start training your legs, with compound movements?
So I'm going to say, cast is 6 weeks. You get to start working on range of motion. That's painful. That sucks because you have to get your leg in 6 weeks and it's being surgically reattached. It sucks. I mean, it hurts. Most in the back of your head, you're like, "Dude, I hope this thing doesn't pop off again."
Yeah,
but
that's exactly what goes through your head. Exactly.
I'm sitting there, I'm doing, bending it. I've got a towel. I'm laying on the floor with a towel on my foot. Pull it to make it bend. And it wasn't something I did once a day. I did this all day. When I woke up in the morning,
You
First thing I
had to
did,
because you can't get range of motion back.
no,
right?
I mean, I multiple times through the day, constantly stretching, trying to get this thing.
With tears coming down your eyes, the pain was so bad.
Yeah, it sucked. I mean, but what I learned is when you're super motivated, it's amazing what you can do. If you're mentally tough, you can take a lot of pain. And I was not going to let this beat me. And I made a commitment. I'm like, I'm doing the Arnold. I'm going to win it. And I knew I wasn't. I knew what I was in for. I probably didn't know exactly what I was in for because it turned out to be worse than I anticipated. But I was going to do it. I wasn't going to quit. And you got to understand, Dave, I grew up super, super poor. I have nothing. And bodybuilding changed my whole family's life, not just my life, but I was able to provide a good living for my wife, my daughter, and my mother. It changed my whole life. So I'm like, I finally got there, and I found that pot of gold, and I wasn't going to go down without a fight, right? So I just day by day, I got a little more range of motion, until finally I was able to touch my heel to my butt, and had full range of motion at that point. So
how long did it take you to do that?
I'm gonna say about a month, but during that time period, I was training. The first, after I got the cast off, that first workout, I did one 45-pound plate on one side of the leg press, and I barely could get 10 reps. It was pretty humbling, and it pissed me off. And I remember I just kept doing 7 for 7. Brian's like, dude, that's enough. Fuck that. And I was like, I was so frustrated with it, So of course the next day, after that little puny workout, I was like, sore is ridiculous. And came back again, and just every week you made progress. So it was at a certain point it really started to speed up. And so before long, you go from doing one plate on one side to now you're doing 5 plates on each side. Able to do full range of motion. Before long, you're doing.
Your doctor know what you were doing? Did you tell him? Yeah, because you were going for regular checkups. I'm sure at that point.
Be 1 year before I could even think about training hard and competing. And, he knows me, and I think he told me better. He goes, "I knew you weren't going to listen to me," and I don't know.
Because, it could have ended bad. You could have ruptured it. You really were nice.
But I just I put my faith. I asked God to put His shield over me and protect me and give me the strength to do this, and He did. So week by week, it got better and better and better, and I was able to squat. I don't think I ever squatted over 315 for that show,
wow.
But a lot of repetitions, and I didn't go super heavy with anything, so I didn't have the strength yet.
Luckily, you have very good legs too, so that helped you.
So we trained the shit out of them. That's something I learned is I didn't have to go super heavy to get the sides back. Just by training intense, doing drop sets, doing rest pauses, doing all these things. I still trained the crap out of them, and it got better and better and better. And I knew I was going to be able to compete, but it wasn't until I was 30 days out that I knew I was going to be able to compete successfully. And 30 days out, I posed, and Brian looked at me. He goes, "You can win this again," and I said, "I agree." And so that was probably the 1st of February. So at that point, it still hurt like a bitch. I had to warm up tremendously before I could train, and every rep, man, it's just like, God dang it, but you just gutted it out, right? You just did it. So the problem was, after I got to training, my knee would just hurt. I'd go home.
Would it swell up too?
Swell up on me. I'd ice it down. So I knew. I guess what I knew. I just had the ice bags with me. On the way home, I just wrapped the ice pack around my leg, and around there to keep the swelling to a minimal. And at one point, I think it was in February, before the show, I was sitting on the couch with my foot propped up, and I never could get comfortable. If it was bent, it hurt. If it was straight, it hurt. If I propped it up, it hurt. And it's like it was almost maddening at a certain point. And I remember I got so mad I started punching my knee one night. And,
some guys would have taken pain meds, but you didn't do that, huh?
No, I didn't do that because I hate the way they make me feel.
Right.
I'd rather deal with the pain, honestly, than feeling spaced out like that. And one night I just started punching my knee, and probably not to do, but I was just, if anybody's ever been in that much pain for a prolonged period of time, it just drives you crazy. And
mental.
Officially look at me like, okay, he's lost his mind officially.
So what was the lowest point you were at? Aside from right after tearing it, was there a point like during the rehab where you just were like maybe second guessing yourself at all, or were you always?
Yeah, that day I took out when the first workout when I could only do one 45 plane on one side of the leg press. That was probably because then at that point I realized, okay, you're at sea level and you're trying to climb Mount Everest.
Right.
And the hardest part's gonna be way in front of you. So that was a low point. I second guessed myself. I don't know if I did. I was so focused on making it happen, and I wasn't. I just told myself I wasn't gonna fail. I told myself I made a commitment. I said, whatever this takes, I'm gonna do it. I'll pay the price for it, whatever the price, pay it. And so I grounded out. 30 days out, like I said, we were there, and I was like, "You can win this," and I said, "I agree." And the next 30 days, it just got better and better. And it was the first time I think I'd ever gotten prepared for a show and actually watched a body part get bigger as I dieted. You know what I'm saying? So that was pretty cool. And by the time I got to the show, I was confident. I was in great conditioning, and I knew that when I got there, and I remember we got backstage for the prejudging, I was like, I'm gonna win this. And went out, first call out, front and center, and stepped to the side. And I walked away with the victory, the most muscular, the best poser, and People's Choice Award. So it was my darkest hour turned out to be one of my best moments. So
it's an incredible story.
The moral of the story is, like I tell people, sometimes in life when you have horrible things happen, at the time you think, man, this is the worst thing that could happen to me. I did. I'm like, my entire adult life, I worked to get where I was. And in one instance, it was potentially all taken away from me. And as it turned out, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I don't regret it at all, because going through that, overcoming something like that all the odds were stacked against me. I don't know if anybody who ever successfully came back from that injury. That usually an arsenal friend or injured career. So when you do something,
not in one shows,
I won several more shows after that.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying there was no one who came back from a quad tear that actually went on to win a show. Not even a local, weird, small show. It just doesn't happen. It's
week later, I went to Australia, won in Australia,
right.
And then I went to Europa. I won several other shows. I can't remember all the different ones I won, but went on to place top 5 in Olympia. So, when you overcome something like that, it's people pretty much think it's not overcomable. Then the amount of confidence and the feeling you get is it was worth it. At that point, I was like, I decided enough self-confidence in myself at that point. I was like, whatever comes my way in life, I can handle it. Because after you go through something like that, that's that painful and that challenging, and you succeed, then you're like, all right, whatever life throws at me, I'm overcoming.
Was there a point, though, during this whole process after you tore the quad, where you were saying to yourself, because this is what would go through my head, I know I would have to dismiss it out of my head, but it's hard to dismiss, hey, I could have won the Mr. Olympia. I was in the best shape of my life. I was second the year before that. What if this never happened? What would I have been, Mr. Olympia? Because I know obviously that was your goal. You were at that level. You were such a high level. You were right there. I mean, where you could taste it.
Dave, I can't even tell you how many times I thought about that. I buried that and put it to rest. But man, for a decade, I probably thought like that almost. But you can't say what if.
Right.
I mean, things happen. You can't say what if. I mean, I didn't do the 2008 Mr. Olympics. I tore my tricep. Jay was way off. Dexter won. What if I showed up in 2008 like I did in 2009? So what if, right? So
yep. It's hard to take that, just to not think that, though. That's the problem,
It is, but I think the lessons that life teaches is you can't say what if. You just have to accept what comes your way. And I think to a certain extent we're in control of our own destiny, and to a certain extent we're not. It's just dictate things that happen to us to a certain extent. So I think it's a combination of what you will, where you want to be in life, and the direction you choose in life, and then also circumstances that happen. So
right. What do you think was your best look ever? What year?
I'll give you 2 answers. I think 2009 Olympia, I got second. In 2011 Arnold when I won. Right. I think I was same body weight. I think the lighting in 2009 was better on stage than at the Arnold. But in reality, I think I had an almost identical look both shows.
Lesley, let me ask you a question. I mean, Branch is probably the strongest minded person that I know. You know, I think of myself as strong minded, but I think he's got me beat. There's no denying when he puts something in his mind that he's going to get it done, and he gets it done. A lot of people though don't have that strong mindset and that fuck you, I'm going to get this done no matter what. And they start feeling sorry for themselves, and then they go into despair. And some people, you know, wind up getting hooked on pain meds during these process where they can't get back to where they were because they think, well, I'm never going to be as good as I was. How do you get people out when people come to you depressed like that because they have injured themselves and they can't train and they can't compete the way they want to? What do you tell them? What are some of the tools that people can use? Obviously, Branch is very self-motivated, but what about for people who are not as motivated to see us?
Sometimes it's, you know, starting with, you know, saying stuff out loud. Like what Branch was saying right at the get-go is, I'm going to win this. Did he know for sure he was going to win? No, but he went in the mindset of saying, I'm going to win this. So when people come injured, you know, it's focusing on a goal, because if they focus on what happened, it's easy to throw yourself a little pity party. And I tell people, I want you to have a goal of when you want to change this. You can't change what happened. The only thing you can change is from this moment forward. So you're having a choice. Are you going to look back in the past about what you can't control, or are you going to focus on now and moving forward? So what are your goals? If you need to feel sorry for yourself and have a grieving day, have a grieving day, get it out of your system. But tomorrow, I want you to commit to having a different mindset, even if you don't believe it. Just say the words, I'm going to win this. I'm going to get through this. Because if you don't have that mental strongness, you can still build it. And part of it is some of the words that we say to ourselves. We all know that, you know, whether you're injured or not, people can be very self-deprecating. We can look, you know, getting ready for a show, what bodybuilder doesn't look in the mirror and say, oh, that part's shit. You know, like no one goes in there saying, oh, I look fantastic. You can say, hey, this is the best look I'm presenting, but we can always kind of fine tune little things. But when you're talking about an injury, it's more focusing on how do you transition from that mindset of crap, I can't do what I intended to do, to, okay, what can I do? Well, first of all, who knows that you can't do it? Until you go through the process, put everything on the line, because you don't have a crystal ball. Have that motivation. Look what Branch had. He's like, I have something to work towards. You might need to have something to work towards to keep you accountable and to keep you motivated. Now, for people who still have that lack of motivation, like I said, they may need some help on grieving about what they can't do. And then we remanage their expectations. Because let's say their injury is so bad that they can't recover in time and do a show, for instance. Okay, guess what? What we do know as a fact is that there are lots of other shows, not just the rest of the year, the next year and the next year. So maybe you can't compete this year. There's no shortage of shows in the future. Get focused on your rehab, what you can do. And by the way, I want to piggyback on what Branch has said. He did what he could do. Like if, you know, he was doing chest, you know, like the day after. I mean, it's, you focus on what you can do instead of dwelling on what you can't. It's also good to have someone to be accountable to that can mentally push you as well, because sometimes we give up on ourselves too much. You know, just like when you're getting ready for a show, you can know exactly what you're doing, but it's nice to have that extra pair of eyes when you're getting ready for a show. Same thing with your mental capacity. You can be strong, but everyone has a human moment. We're all vulnerable. You know, we'll have those up and down days or ups and down times. Have someone you can go to when you're having a shitty day or a shitty moment. You can contact them and say, hey, I need a reset. Help me out here. I'm really struggling. So it's nice to know that, you know, you don't have to be alone in this process.
Yeah, Brian was definitely instrumental, I think, in helping you stay focused on the goal, because he's, you know, he loves those challenges when you give him those challenges. Brian, we got to do this. All right, you know.
Well, I mean, I think it's like I said before, you know, I think I said in 2011 when I won the Arnold, a speech I gave, you know, being a bodybuilder, it's a solo sport, but not really. You know, I compared it to being a race car driver, like a Daytona 500 driver.
Right.
So, driver, everybody knows him. He's a famous one, gets all the accolades and all that and the fame. But out of his pit crew, he never makes it across the finish line.
Nope.
You know, you got to have a strong pit crew, you know, to keep that car running, put new tires on it. and keep you out there on the track and stay in communication with you and keep you going so you can get across the finish line first. Because without that pit crew, you never make it across the goal line.
Good analogy. Good metaphor. You know, I also try to tell people when they say, how do you stay positive when things are not going well in your life? And I say, you know what? I look at it this way, and this is, I get this from Dr. Wayne Dyer. He always said, in my life, there are no mistakes. So if something happens, it's because it was supposed to happen. Now you have to find the meaning in it and how to get around it, because it wasn't just this haphazard, like random mistake. It was supposed to be there. And maybe it was to build character in you. Maybe it was because you weren't supposed to do this particular show. Maybe something would have happened. Maybe something terrible would have happened to Branch. Who knows, even worse than this. So you have to accept what your reality is and then find a way to continue moving forward in the direction that you want to go forward. Maybe Branch would have said, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to jump here. Fuchs told me the best thing that ever happened to him after he tore both quads was that it happened because he didn't want to, he really was done bodybuilding mentally. He didn't want to do it anymore. He continued a little longer because he had a contract with Joe Weider, but he really didn't want to compete anymore. He was done mentally. And you weren't done mentally, obviously. So
no, I think God never puts you in a situation you can't overcome. I think that he doesn't set you up to fail. And like you said, you got to stay positive. You know, I think one thing I always was really good at, I could take a negative situation and turn it into a positive, feed off of it. And rearview mirror, man, I grabbed the rearview mirror out of the car because I'm not worried about yesterday or behind me. I'm looking forward and moving forward, especially when you talk about training and competing. It doesn't matter what you did last week, last month, or last year. You know, Dave, you know, in our sport, you're only as good as your last show, right? So, you know, yeah, I tore my quad. Poor me. So what? It happened. So why sit there and feel sorry for yourself? That ain't helping you. That ain't helping you get over it. You know, so I'm like, I use that as a motivation. You know, I'm not going to be done. This is not going to define me. And I'm like, when I retire, it's going to be on my terms. When I'm ready, no one's going to tell me. No circumstances are going to dictate that. I will. And I took control of the situation. Now, that's how I took control of the situation. And then I actively went out and did what I needed to do to overcome it. And now that comes it wasn't easy. I mean, most things in life we're doing aren't easy. If it's really worth having, you know, winning an Arnold Classic or Olympia ain't easy. It comes with a lot of sacrifices, you know, but
Michael Jordan was, you know, if you ever watch, I don't know if anyone has seen The Last Dance, that movie, the documentary on Netflix, real good. If you haven't, go watch it. But Jordan always had to find something about someone that made him angry so that it motivated him to be better than he was. So he could take someone could be going to the men's room and pass him and not acknowledge him or something like that. He'd be like, that son of a bitch didn't even say hello to me. I'll show him on the court on Saturday night. And he would just devour this guy. So sometimes people need to find motivation to be their best and to raise their game up. You've used, you know, people counting you out probably your whole career, right? He's never going to do this. He'll never win the Olympia. He'll never win the Arnold. He'll never. And you always use that as motivation to make yourself better. You think that actually, these little obstacles you've had to overcome, you think they made you a better bodybuilder?
1,000%. And that goes back to what I was just saying, is taking negatives and turning them into positives. You know, I mean, like I was telling you, I was sitting there, you know, one day post-surgery and everybody's writing my obituary, you know, and I'm like, I got so mad. I was like, you know, my exact thoughts to myself was, you know what? Fuck all y'all. I'm going to show every one of you motherfuckers. And I did, you know, and I'd have to say a word. I never responded to any of them verbally or written. I just let my actions speak for myself. And because I knew if I show up and win, I'll shut them all down. And there ain't nothing I can say or write that'd be more powerful than just showing up and winning. And so that's what I did. And I've done that my entire career, whether I was in the gym or I was competing or whatever it's been. You know, people say I can't do it or somebody pissed me off. And you turn that into motivation. And you channel that into something positive and let your actions speak for you. And
anger is a great motivator. You know, people that say you can't do it, the doubters, it's a great, I don't know if revenge is the right word, but it's great.
People crumble though, Lesley, under that, under criticism.
If it's done in a controlled way, though, like what Branch was saying, you know, turning it into a positive, saying, I'm going to show you motherfuckers what I'm about. When you're able to harness it properly and you don't let it go out of control, that's how you can make it work for you rather than against you. But yeah, it can be done.
That's what I miss about bodybuilding. People say, you miss competing? Not at all. I did everything I wanted to do. I won every show in the world except for the Olympia. And I have no regrets. And, you know, when you're done, you look back, what else could I have done different? I don't know what I could have done different. I've asked myself 100 times. What I do miss is having that single-minded focus and determination to where I could almost will myself to get where I wanted to be. You know, like, you know what I mean? Because it's you. Yeah. The focus on your nutrition. You know, I studied everything I could study about nutrition and training, and I was in control of me. And so, you know, when you get in business, it's not quite like that. You know, you can't just single-mindedly focus and, you know, bulldoze your way through. So that aspect of it, you know, the challenge of being better every single time, you know, that I miss. But that was definitely one of the positives of competing in the sport that I miss.
The good thing, though, about having that mindset, Branch, is that when you're done, you're done. Like, people always say to me, do you regret, oh, don't you want to be big again and go back and compete? You missed it. I said, no, because once I stopped, I had given everything I possibly could. I was the best bodybuilder that I could be, given the genetics I had to work with. So I had no regrets. And that's a good thing to have. And that's why I can walk away from the sport with not trying to, like, relive it when I turn 50 and 60 years old again, because I'm done. I have nothing else to give. And I think you're the same way. I think you gave 100% while you did it. So it doesn't matter anymore to you, you know?
I was good. I walked away, and I never just want to move forward. I actually have more fun working out now than I think I did. You know, me and Johnny actually laughing. Back in the day, we wouldn't even speak to each other sometimes.
No, but it's true, because now you can enjoy yourself, because we will always train because you're a bodybuilder for life. I mean, that's what you enjoy doing, but you have nothing to prove to anyone. It's great. It's a great feeling to know you put everything on that table and left nothing behind. But Lesley, you know, there's a lot of people that just cannot get through hard times. And, you know, we could tell them to stay positive and say F you to this and F you to that, and don't listen to the comments. But let's face it, we have, you know, Cedric McMillan should have been Mr. Olympia. May he rest in peace. You know, great guy. But he used to take the criticism to heart a little bit. And I think it hurt him as far as a competitor. He didn't have that fuck you cat attitude. I'm going to go to the gym and be better than the next year. You know, like when they were counting Ronnie out in 2002, and then he came back in 2003 and was devoured everyone. I mean, that's a mindset that not everyone has got. And so do people who have that weaker mindset, and it's not necessarily a bad mindset, it's just a weaker mindset, should they have support crews, like going to a sports psychologist?
Absolutely.
I think
absolutely. So. Just like anything, you know, whether it's your mental game or anything, whatever. Let's say you're not good at posing. Mm-hmm. You're a posing coach. Right. Who cares what you bench or what you squat? If you can't show it on stage, it means shit. So when it comes to the mental piece, which I think a lot of bodybuilders can relate to, yes, there's a physical component, but it's hugely mental. Like you said, with people like Cedric, he could have won so many times because of his structure and his shape. But the thing is that, you know, he got into, the whole social media piece a bit too much and he's not the only one, but it's learning to tune out the noise. And especially when you get closer to show, or if you're backstage, you know, peak week is really known for, you know, getting into people's heads as far as, you know, when the carbs go down, or, you know, your mind can go in different directions, or people are trying to give you advice. And it's, you know, I tell people, like Gordon Ramsay, you know, he's a cook, you know, pay attention to one chef, and that's your coach. Don't listen to anyone else. Really focus in on what you're supposed to do. Forget if someone else is eating a Snickers bar. Forget that. Focus on what you're supposed to do. Don't do anything new. Stick to the program. And if you need that mental piece to help you refocus, get somebody like myself to help you do that. Because I'm a competitive bodybuilder, I get it. It's not just I'm a registered psychotherapist and a mental game coach for athletes. I'm an athlete myself. I'm competing at the Amateur Olympia. I get it. So, you know, for people like that, definitely contact me, because, you know, I have strategies. The type of training I got was based on mental game coaches for people in the Olympics. So if it's good for enough for the people in the Olympics, it will definitely be good for the Olympics.
I was going to say, most of those Olympic athletes have sports psychologists.
They do. Absolutely.
It's such a mentally tough game, you know, to stay that laser focused. For bodybuilders, it's not as bad, because you get to the show and it's kind of like over already. But when these guys got to run 100 meters or a 400-meter race, that's when all the mental stuff starts happening, you know, with them. So they really need to be able to believe in themselves and not let all the critics, like Branch said, you know, influence it. Because think about how many times you watch, you know, football games on TV where these guys critique football all week long. If you watch that shit and you're a quarterback and they're blasting you, you almost start to believe that you suck, because you got to block that out, and you got to have someone who's going to help you refocus your mental state, because that really will dictate success or failure.
But think about even in bodybuilding, though. Look at all the podcasts leading up to the Olympia, and then people are saying, "Who's your top 5?" or "Who's who do you think is going to be in the first call-ups?" You don't tell me. People aren't going to watch that and say, "Why didn't you mention my name?"
Right.
Who's competing? And then they can get all in a huff and a puff or take it personally into saying, "Why am I not in the top 5 or the top 10?"
Branch loved when they would bet against him. That was his best motivation right there.
And again, if more people were like Branch, then they wouldn't need someone like myself. But I'm not saying everyone does. I'm just saying for those. But keep in mind, it's not just leading up to a show. It's also after the show. If you don't place the way you want to, and how many people do, there's a greater percentage that aren't going to place as well as they would like to. How do they cope after that? I'm not even talking about just post-show
Not
blues.
good, a lot of them. Not
a lot of them. And if they second guess themselves, or they rush into a show and they haven't let their body recover, or maybe they do need to do another show to keep them mentally back in the game. So again, it depends on the athlete's perspective and what they're going through, and to keep them on track, because like I said, even after the show, your mind is not necessarily where it should be. So that's where a mental game coach can help them get back on track and make better choices. Because that's what it is about. It's not just doing the show. It's everything before and after the show that's just equally as important.
I think I learned more from my defeats than I did from my victories.
Yes.
I lost the reason why you lost. You just didn't lose because they didn't like you. I mean, there's something, if you're not winning because of someone else's body, so was your conditioning on point? Did you have a weak body part? Was your posing, your tan, all these things where they needed to be? And if you lose, you can usually some of those questions you can answer no to. And once you identify what's wrong, then I come up with a plan to fix it and go fix it. And when you fix it, you start winning. And so if a defeat, no one hated losing more than me, I promise you. But at the same time, I always came up with okay, why did I lose? And I come up with I look at it, I look at who I'll stand next to. Okay, I need to improve my back. All right, well, you can't just improve your back in 6 months.
Right.
It took me years to build my back up to where I could win a big show, and I knew that. And so it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And so I came up with a plan to fix everything I need to fix in order to get myself to the top. And instead of getting depressed about it, it's like, no, dude, you lost for a reason. Okay, you got weak legs. Fix your legs. Your tanning sucks. Fix your tanning. There's a reason why. And so you need to take that negative, turn it into a positive. Okay, this is why I lost. This is what I need to do to fix it. I'll go do it.
It gives you ammunition when you lose as far as what you can do to increase your chances of winning next time. And it gives you that motivation to say, that grit and saying, crap, I didn't place where I want to go. I want to do better. So it kind of gives you that kick in the ass too. And like what you were saying earlier, Branch, is, these things, when we call them losing, they're actually opportunities. They're a gift. It doesn't feel like it at the time, mind you, but it's actually a gift to saying, this is what you can do better. And the other thing is managing your expectations. Like you said, it's not a sprint. You can't grow a back in 6 months, to your point, or certain other lagging body parts. It's having realistic expectations. This takes time. And being, as far as managing that, because if you don't manage your expectations, you are setting yourself up for failure.
Correct.
Branch, what gets you excited like bodybuilding did nowadays? Like, what do you get up for? What gets you when you wake up in the morning? You can't wait to do what's that one thing now that you're doing?
I like to train. Training. I've said this before. Some people train because they're bodybuilders. I was a bodybuilder because I love to train. Mm-hmm. There's a big difference. And so training, I still love working out, man. Going to the gym and training. I don't get down to Metroflex all the time. I get down there maybe once a week because of where we live now. But it's over an hour drive. But I go down there and I see the crew. I see Brian, everybody, and it's fun. I have a blast doing it. And so that part of it, I always love. And I think that's the most pure part of it. Is training is pure. There's no bullshit involved. And so that always has been and probably always will be my favorite part about it.
Now, let me ask you this question. because I got to throw it out there because I'm sure people are wondering. Is there anything, any part of you inside of you that says, you know what? I want to compete again. You ever think that? No? Okay.
Not at all. Zero.
Right.
So no Masters Olympia, huh?
Yeah. So what told me, they announced that earlier in the year, right? That they're bringing the Masters Olympia.
I think
Johnny calls me.
Romania, I think, yeah.
Johnny calls me. I'm like, what's up, dude? And he says, hey, man, you hear? I go, hear what? He goes, man, they're bringing the Masters. And silence. I didn't say nothing. And silence for like, about 10 seconds. He goes, yo, man. He goes, what do you think? I go, you think we got another one in us? I go, you do.
So you would if they made a 50 and over Masters Olympia, you wouldn't do it, huh?
Hell no. Why I'm just like I told him. I said, for me, there's no positive upside to it. None. I go, if I can't look the way I did when I was 36 years old, I can't. Yeah. I'm 47. I'll be 48 next year. I can look like I did when I was in my 30s at the top of my game. I said, even if I win, that prize money doesn't change how I live. Like, they're supposed to have a 6-figure prize, first place or something, whatever it is, 150,000, whatever. It doesn't make one difference how I live. Number two, even if I win, it still hurts me. I said, because everybody's gonna remember that version of me and not the 6-year-old version of myself or whatever. I said, so, and it's not gonna look the same, trust me. So when I said looking good in the gym is one thing, looking good on a stage is another thing, especially when you're being compared to, best in the world. And I said, so, and if I don't win, then it really hurts me. And I said, that's the reason. Another reason is, I'm very much involved with running Gas and Better Bodies now. I have my own company, Cuts. I've got 3 sports expos and bodybuilding shows I promote, among others I do. And I said, I'll run around in Mach 2 with my hair on fire. Oh, no. For me to prepare for a competition, all those things are going to suffer, which makes no sense, because I would lose more money than what I would get if I won. And I said, there's no upside to this whole thing for me. And most importantly, I just don't have the desire. I mean, when I stepped away in 2016, I was good. I mean, I competed 15 years as a pro, and I was good. And I have no regrets. And I don't, like I said, I tore the rearview mirror out of the car, so I just look straight ahead.
I'm glad you said that. I think that that's a very healthy outlook on it, because you know what, you walked away on top, and you know what, there's no reason to go back. And I always said that. I said, if I can't look better than I did at my best, then why continue competing? And that's why I actually retired, because I said, you know what, I can't be better. My shoulders are shot. I need a shoulder replacement. I'm just, why show them a physique that's less than what my best was? And so,
and then the last reason I'm gonna say, just be completely honest, I don't want to take those drugs.
Yeah, health.
I mean, like I told Johnny, I said, brother, I said, I played Russian roulette for a long time, and I won. I said, I'm done playing Russian roulette. I said, keep healthy inside and out, and I'm going to stay that way. So
it's a very healthy, smart outlook. Branch, I want to thank you for joining us today and giving us I'm so motivated now. I want to go to the gym again, even though I went this morning. Branch has got me so motivated. But truth be told, don't look at injuries as negatives or setbacks. Look at them as just obstacles that are going to help you get to a higher point in your life. I always so heard the analogy that Dr. Wayne Dyer used to say, a high jumper, when he goes and jumps over a bar, he first ducks low and then jumps high. So you sometimes have to take a little dip to go higher than you were before. And if you have that mindset, you can't go wrong. Thank you so much, Branch.
Thank you, Brian.
And then Lesley, thanks for joining us. So you're going to be, you're not going to be live because we recorded this show, but if you want to check out Lesley's YouTube channel, Lesley, give us the contact.
So basically it's on my Instagram. I forget what it is offhand, but the Mental Iron. So my Instagram is LesleyT_mental_iron. It's in my profile. And I will be doing a video later today. It's usually posted early, but I just moved to Vegas, so I'm just getting set up now.
All right. Well, have fun in Vegas, and we will see you back again next week. Branch, thank you once again. And who do you got for the Olympia? Give me your top 5.
Without offending anyone.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He doesn't care if you offend.
Okay, Big Ramy, obviously. I think Hunter Labrada. I saw Hunter Labrada 2 weeks ago. I went down to Houston. He's 5'8", 284 pounds. He legit, He said 10 pounds of muscle after I seen him in person. He gained 10 pounds of muscle. He brought up, which is, as we know, at that point of your career, that's almost unprecedented. He made improvements. And I told him if he can bring his conditioning better than we've ever seen before, he might be he could win if he brings that conditioning. He's got the physique. I think you got him. You got I think Hadi Chopin will be up in there. I'm gonna go out on. I don't think it's too much of a limb. I'm gonna say Derek Lunsford.
Derek, I don't think that's a limb. Yeah, I don't think that's such a going out on a limb. Yeah.
Last year at like 228, he looked much more 28 than he did at 212, and so he'll be 230 plus going in here with. I'm sure he brings that same conditioning. He's gonna be up in there. That fifth spot, man. I don't know. You got Brandon Curry. You got Nick Walker. I think those guys, I'm not saying they're going to be fifth spot. They're just being in a,
yeah. There's a lot.
I mean, Brandon. I'm guessing Brandon's going to be up in there because former Mr. Olympia. He got second last. At his age, I thought I saw him fade a little bit. With the legs. Because as we know, as we get older in our 40s, as men, we lose those legs and glutes start to lose fullness. Yeah. If that happens, he may. I think he'll still be in the top 5 probably. So that would be my top 5. Nick will be, Nick will be 5th, 6th maybe. Maybe he's. But they're all bullshit. So, it's just not worth the paper they're
It's
written.
hard to handicap. You know why, Branch? Because you never know who's showing up in shape. Because some of these guys might not be in their best shape, and then someone else steps in.
Ronnie went from 9th or whatever, 12th of winning. Jay 12th to 2nd. I went from 12th to 2nd. Right. So you never know, man. One of the guys may step up and be like, "Holy crap, win the show!" So you never know.
Are you impressed with the Andrew Jack?
Man, from the front, he's very impressive. Huge. I mean, I think Texas was 292, 294, and he would be that tall and have the quad, from the front to match is very impressive. From the rear, he needs improvements. He got beat in those rear shots. Other, like Martin Fitzwater, who I train.
He's a freak. He's a little freak, that guy, yeah.
From the rear, hamstrings, glutes, back, make some improvement. One, he's being better conditioned, and from the rear match, it might be a done deal. Or, it might be the second for Ronnie. He could bring that rear.
Absolutely. Thank you, Branch, for your honest opinions. And Branch has big Ramy winning, so I don't think too many people would argue with that. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up now. I'm Dave Palumbo with Lesley, Timbol, and our special guest.
Win. I said he's going to be a top 5.
Oh, okay. You weren't saying Ramy's winning? I thought you said Ramy easy.
That top 5 prediction is just guys going to be in the top 5. I didn't.
Okay, all right. So you're giving me your top 5. You're not going to say who's going to win? Who do you think's going to win? You don't think Ramy's going to win this?
He needs a mental game coach because that's how he's going to lose. Is because he's going to get in his head.
I'm going to say this, man. My personal favorite, based on personal biases, and I'm pulling for Hunter. Hunter, he was a kid, literally. I know his father for 30 years. Mm-hmm. And, he's a member of, Team Gas Better Buddies.
Sure.
I really would like Hunter to win, man. He's a hard worker. He's a good kid. And I'd like to see if he's able to finish what Dad started. So, that's my personal favorite. Ramy's in the driver's seat, obviously. The pictures I'm seeing come out, he looks really good. So, it's going to be a battle.
All right. Branch is not putting any names out there. Your favorite is Hunter. We understand why you've known him your whole life, but I think it's going to take a very special person to be. I think Ramy is the only guy who could really beat Ramy, to be honest with you. So if he loses, it's going to be because he wasn't his best. I don't think anyone else could beat him at his best, but we've seen it happen before, Branch. So
absolutely, and you never, like I said, predictions are all BS until they step up.
That's right. All right, we'll finally wrap this show up, and we'll be back again next week. As always, thanks for joining us.